but sometimes you're right in the middle of a lesson, and I think that's where I am with this at the moment. Hey, how's it going? My name is Lauren May and welcome to this video. Today I'll be sharing with you what I have learned from this year. This is a tradition that I've been doing since the beginning of this channel. I like to reflect on the year that was to be able to see what I've learned and how I can take that into the new year. So sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. So 2023 was a bit of a rough year. Has been quite the year. Lots has happened, so much has happened, and it's been quite hard to articulate what I can learn from all the crap that I've been through this year. But it's been nice to be able to sit back and reflect and figure out what was the lesson from it all. And surprisingly, there's actually quite a few. So I'm excited to delve into this and see maybe you can learn something from this as well. So this year, I was made redundant not once, but twice from two different jobs, which they were both very unexpected in their own way and presented lots and lots of challenges trying to get new jobs in their own way as well. I think I've been half employed for most of this year. So before I was made redundant, I had two jobs, and then I was only working 2 days a week for the majority of this year, which obviously is very rough financially. Luckily, I'm still blessed to live with my parents, and so they've been able to kind of house me. But through that experience, a lot of things have actually taken place because of that. So I'm really excited to share with you some of those things, some of the situations and opportunities that have been presented because of that and what I learned from them. So in September, I had just lost one of my jobs, and at that time, my other job was preparing for a big gala dinner. Now, I don't know if you know anything about organizing an event, but these are the sorts of events that you plan like a year in advance, 6 months in advance. And I had found out that the person that was organizing the event was no longer with the company, and I was asked to take over their work. And I kind of just agreed because it would be nice to have some extra work and some extra cash. I didn't really think much about it other than the fact that I didn't really know what I was doing, but I was told that I would be amply supported. I would be very much supported in what I was doing. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, what an awesome challenge. I'm sure I can figure this out. Like, I didn't really think much else other than that. Through that experience, it was absolutely insane. I won't tell the whole story, but basically what happened is I was 2.5 weeks out when I took over the role, and I found out that basically nothing had been done except the venue had been booked and a couple of other things. And through a miracle of God, and I will not say anything else except it was a miracle. I did not do anything. It is not through my works, but through God's works, that in some miracle we didn't not only meet our we didn't only meet our ticket sale goal, but we exceeded it and then some. Huge miracle to happen in 2.5 weeks before a huge event, and these tickets are not cheap because it was a fundraising event, and so we're trying to fundraise, which leads me to my next point. We had no auction items, maybe one semi-unconfirmed, and we had no silent auction items either. And in some miracle, again, I cannot take credit for it because I do not even know how it happened, but in some miracle, we didn't only have 6 large auction items that were one of a kind, like cannot buy experiences, but we also had like over 20 silent auction items that literally came out of nowhere. People were donating left, right, and center. It was absolutely beautiful and awesome to see how much people wanted to help support us as an organization. It was amazing. And I just cannot take credit for it. Yes, obviously I did work, like I was helping organize, but God really came through, and it was so unexpected because, you know, it's just an event. Like, what does he have to do to care about that? But it really taught me that A, he works in so many unexpected ways, and B, he cares about the random little things as well, like a silly little gala dinner. And yes, of course, this gala dinner was for a Christian organization that is spreading the word of God, so it is for his glory, but it seems so random that he were to help us at that point in time rather than, you know, previously, or I don't know, it seemed so wild that he would just step in and make it all happen all at once in less than 2.5 weeks, and use me, who had no idea what she was doing. And it's absolutely a miracle. And so it was so cool to see God at work and see the unexpected ways in which he worked. Also, through that specific experience, but also throughout the whole year, I have learned how resilient I am. I mean, being made redundant not once but twice through this year definitely had to thicken my skin a little bit and overcome a lot of obstacles, not just in finding jobs, but also like mentally, and like being really insecure and discouraged and just not knowing what I'm doing in my life. Like, I had to kind of realize that I had to be resilient, and I was more resilient than I thought I was. Also, specifically with this event planning, there were so many skills that I didn't realize that I already had, that came into play in the organizing of this event last minute. I mean, sure, like, I knew I could probably do it, but I was just like making it up as I go. But it turns out, God was using me tenfold, but also there were some skills that I didn't realize I could activate in this process as well. So that was kind of fun to be pleasantly surprised by what I could actually do. So this year I applied, or over the last couple of years, I've applied for the same job multiple times. Like, same job, same business, same situation, multiple times, and been knocked back multiple times. And at the time I just thought, you know, I was a failure, and that, you know, that job I'm not good enough for, or all of those sorts of like mental conversations that you have in your head. But we are reading at my Bible study at the moment, we're reading John, and there's a couple of chapters where Jesus is preaching and talking to the Pharisees, and they go to arrest him multiple times, and they can't. And it literally says in all of those verses, because it wasn't his time. And I was reflecting on that, and I was like, wow, okay, so I've been knocked back from this job multiple times. Maybe failure isn't failure at all, and it's just not the right time. And look, maybe it is failure, I don't know, but it gave me a little bit of hope and self-confidence that, okay, maybe this might happen one day, and that's great, and it will be in God's timing, and that's something that I can hope in and hope for. But really, it's up to God, and it's his plan that I'm, you know, trying to stick towards. And if he wants me to be in that place, then great, I will do it. But it's all in his timing, and that's something that I've had a fresh perspective on this year. So over the last couple of years, I want to say like 3 or 4, but specifically this year and last year, after being made redundant, I think it's 3 times in 18 months. Like, that is a lot of times, and a lot of, you know, setbacks in career, and a lot of just overall disappointment with life. And I've been really battling with it even before I was made redundant, but specifically this last year, when it's happened quite a lot of times. And like, look, I'm not where I want to be in my career, I'm not where I want to be in other parts of my life, you know, I'm still living at home, I'm not married with kids yet. You know, there's all these expectations that you have sometimes when you picture the life that you want. And I'm currently not anywhere near any of those things. And so I've really had to battle with disappointment. Battling with disappointment is a really brutal struggle that I think a lot of people don't realize that people go through, because it's so deep rooted, not just in what's happened this year and last year, but like through a whole lifetime of expectations and desires and timelines that you set on life. Like, it can be really hard to overcome and push through. Like, I don't want to be disappointed with my life. I want to have joy about my life. I want to be excited about what I'm doing in my life and what God's doing through me in my life. And I want to be happy and joyful and just enjoy life. And to get to that position, it's not just like a flip of a switch, or like, this is what you have to do to no longer be disappointed in life. Like, it's a long and grueling process, and that's something that I've definitely had to learn this year, specifically with everything that's been going on. And it's okay that it's a long process, and I'm not fully through it at all, and it comes and goes in waves. Like, one day I might be really excited about this thing in life and and be okay that that's where I'm at. And the next day I might be totally like in a heap on the floor crying about how sad I am, and like that's okay. Like we're learning and I'm growing, and it's a long process, and that's okay. And sometimes like making these, like what I learned, this videos, the whole year has been like a whole process, and yes it has, but sometimes you get to the end of the year and you're still learning something, and it will flow into the next year. And like I love to reflect on the year that was, but sometimes you're right in the middle of a lesson, and I think that's where I am with this at the moment. Is I'm right in the middle of a lesson about disappointment and how to overcome that and how to be joy filled. So I don't have necessarily a learnt lesson from this, other than the fact that it is brutal and it is long and tedious, and we are still fighting through it and still pushing through it and still trying to grow in that area. And I look forward to what 2024 has in store for more growth and development in that area. Another aspect that has been quite prevalent this year is conviction. There has been so many elements of my character, my attitude, habits that I have, and so many other aspects of like, not necessarily hidden things, but things that I might not have realized I was doing, that the Lord has really been convicting me on. And it's so beautiful when you're sanctified and being sanctified for Christ and towards a Christ-like life. But it is brutal, and when it's all happening all at once on top of like a really crappy year, like, whew, it's a lot. But it's so beautiful to see that God is actively working in your life, and I'm welcoming it more and more, even though conviction is so brutal. And it's a daily step forward in faith. It's a daily step forward in allowing the Lord to use you. And sure, there'll be times when I'll stumble and it won't get it right, and be failing, but God's mercies are new every morning, and that's such a beautiful thing. So I'm really excited again to see what 2024 has in this area for me. But that's what I've been learning in that area, is that it is brutal and beautiful all at the same time. So a quick recap on what I have learned this year in 2023 after everything that I've been through. Failure isn't necessarily failure, it could be just the wrong timing. God works even in ways and situations that you don't expect him to. He also cares about the weird little things that you don't expect him to be caring for and caring about. Being disappointed with life is a long and grueling process to overcome, and it comes and goes in waves, and that's okay to be in the middle of a process when you are reflecting on your life. Conviction is brutal and long process, but it's so beautiful at the same time. I am a lot more resilient than I thought I was. And there are skills that I didn't know that I have that have been able to blossom this year because of the situations that I've been in. It's really awesome to be able to sit and reflect on what the year that was, so that you can prepare for the year that will come. I hope this video has been inspiring for you to think about your life and what are some of the things that you can take as lessons from 2023 into 2024. If you're not already, please subscribe. You can click that button down below and be notified every time that I upload a video. Hopefully in the coming year it'll be more frequent than it has been, but we'll see. I'm excited to see what God's doing in my life, and maybe here on this channel it'll be part of what he's using me for. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and don't forget to hug someone today. Bye!